Welcome back, everybody. Before we get started, I want to note that I am wearing my Guild of Calamitous Intent, so if you want to go back and watch some of these episodes, we did the whole Venture Brothers, but if that's not your thing and you're really here for the Red Dwarf, or if you want to go back and watch the Andrew stuff, I completely encourage you. But I, Dr. John, am here to welcome you to Not Funny Guys present Red Dwarf Rewatch, and we are in Series 2 now, and we are moving on to Episode 2 of Series 2, Better Than Life. Directed again by Ed Bye, written by Rob Grant and Doug Naylor, and released on the 13th of September, 1988. So let's start with a summary. So, a post-pod carrying a 3 million year backlog of mail arrives, containing all kinds of things, but the thing that ends up becoming the crux of the episode is this total immersion computer game called Better Than Life, which makes the players' wishes come true. The group, the cat, Lister, and Rimmer quickly end up playing the game to their own enjoyment, but until Rimmer's neurotic brain basically starts causing the game to go haywire and turning it into a living nightmare for them all, which is the fun part. So let's get into some details. So we continue our lovely Holly giving us up to speed on what's going on. The problem apparently is that now we're down to loneliness is a big issue. Lister is downing some antacid because, like, the whole thing, he literally squirts the whole thing into a pint glass from Rimmer's cooking. And apparently it's taking everyone out. The cat is trying to sleep it off. They thought the lamb was the cheese, and Rimmer complains about how he's trying to expand and make his life feel useful, but it's hard when he has to rely on robots like the Scutters. He complains about them, and apparently they're really into John Wayne. Holly drops in to play a guessing game with them, which they are not interested in, and I understand this because I sometimes feel this way with certain people in my life. Guess. I don't want to guess, just tell me. He finally tells them it's a post-pod. It's caught up with them after 3 million years since they've turned around. We then go into the hallway as we go to find out about the post-pod, and we just see the Scutters playing Cowboys and Indians, and Rimmer's like, see what I told you? They start checking out the mail. Fun bit, apparently Casablanca has been remade several times, but they're now calling Philistines about the fact that it's been remade again. Look, if it's not Humphrey Bogart, it's just not the original. Just let it go. All right? They also have about Friday the 13th, part 1649. No, please, they will do that. I'm not kidding. They got into some near zero G football tapes and some new holo vids. And then what really catches Lister's attention is when they brought up that there's a immersive video game, Better Than Life. And he's like, oh my gosh, you can't find these. And so basically it's like an extremely highly advanced VR game, and basically to another level. Holly has a video letter himself. This comes from Gordon and an AI over on the Scott Fitzgerald. It's a long distance game of chess. He makes his move, and Lister asks who's winning, and he says, I don't know, that was the first move. And apparently it's really kind of, from looking at Gordon and Holly, it's kind of the idea that these AI things helping run these ships are idiots. If only that was true in real life. It might be. Now, Lister is going through sorting the mail back in their quarters. It's mostly for Lister because, as Rimmer puts it, he signs up for all the junk mail. And then he finds a bill for $8,500 from the External Revenue Service, outbound revenue. And Rimmer's like, ooh, but no, it's really for Rimmer. And then, like, Lister reminds him, none of this matters. You know, the human race, and then, but Rimmer's like, the human race may have gone extinct, but somehow they'll still find me. Then they find a letter addressed to Rear Admiral Arnold J. Rimmer. It's from his mother, and she opens it because apparently he'd been lying to her about all his promotions, which is funny. Dear Rimmer, his mother addresses him, and Lister's like, that's how your mother talks to you? He learns that his father has died, but Lister has a hard time making his way through the handwriting, which just makes it so awkward. Your dad is dog. Or no, is it your dad is your father's dad? He's like, what does that mean? My father's dead. He's like, oh. And then later on, we find him up in the observation dome. He's pondering life because even though this happened 3 million years ago, it's coming after him now. Lister tells him this whole story about how his dad died when he was young, and his grandmother told him he went where the goldfish had gone, to a happy place. And apparently he thought that was the toilet, like just around the U-bin. And he eventually was sent to a child psychologist after he was found trying to stick his head down there to read his father the football results. Rimmer finally admits that he really actually hated his father. He's obsessed because he didn't get into the Space Corps. He was like a 1 inch short, and so he put them all through traction, and then he would quiz them on things at dinner time where they wouldn't get to eat. He has 3 older siblings, all kinds of stuff, and then apparently it leads to a whole thing where Rimmer apparently sued for emancipation at some point to get away from this. But even despite all these things, he still won his father's approval and appreciation. They are ultimately interrupted by the cat, who is telling them that he's hungry, which is standard. Apparently, Richard Geldof, I don't know if you guys know him, Live Aid, on stuff. Apparently, there's a month named after him sometime in the future. And apparently, they're reporting on a new page that goes to the front of the Bible that basically says it's addressed to somebody named Candy or Carol. And it basically asserts that everything in the Bible is fictional. Yeah, they aren't afraid to be blasphemous over there. I appreciate it. The chat is trying to cheer Rimmer up now, saying his dad is in the ground and now it's party time for the little worms. That's not how we cheer people up. Of course, Lister invites him to come play the immersion game. They're going to go do it. And he says no eventually, but he then continues to watch the news report where Better Than Life is mentioned as a sensation. It makes all your dreams and desires come true. And all of a sudden, this gets Rimmer over the edge and he's like, gosh darn it, I'm going to do it. So they didn't, when they get into the game, they put on these little bicycle helmets and they put the little Nerodes in and they go into the game and they are getting through this long series of like corridor doors leading in. They finally open up on a beach. They quickly realize Rimmer can touch things here. Marilyn Monroe comes by. Rimmer thinks that it's Mary Magdalene and she's into the cat. She eventually will be his girlfriend. Rimmer, of course, sees Napoleon over on the water's edge, runs over to him, calls him his all-time favorite fascist dictator. Gets him to sign an autograph book. Sort of a guide of sort appears, tells him there's a restaurant nearby and that they can get there by their own transportation. Lister imagines a motorcycle. He and the cat get on, flip the bird to Rimmer and drive off. Rimmer tries to imagine a car, and the first one that appears to him is a Reliant Robin. If you do not know what a Reliant Robin is, I recommend that you find the old Top Gear where they talk about it and mock it viciously. But it was like one of the worst cars ever conceived and made. Just, ugh. I'll throw an image up. He then eventually tries harder and gets looks like an E-type Jag. So good for him. I'll show an image of that one too. And then Magruder appears inside with him and he like drives off. He's finally coming around to it. We pop into the restaurant. Basically, all the desires of everybody there, Lister and the cat, are all being met. The cat apparently licks the lapels of the guy giving him the food because he gets a live fish tank, which actually puts Lister off eating. Rimmer finally arrives, brags about basically banging Magruder, and that's what his delay and the complete realization that he can touch things, very much so. Talk of their magnificent lives and houses they've got. And then someone starts calling out Admiral. And this Rimmer is really offended. Like, who cares? Turns out it's him. And then all of a sudden he's now in his Admiral suit. And he leaves to join another party. Rimmer is there in basically the center of these high brass guys. Junior officer comes over and asks him to sign his biography for him. And after he's done so, he looks at the boy. The boy vanishes and it's his father. And there's this long windup where the father's about apparently like to give him the, Atom boy, good job. Finally, the apology he have always wanted. And then he just calls him a smeghead. And he's like, that's not my fantasy. And the cat goes, it's mine. Lister and the cat are later seen playing golf. Holly joins them basically on the green on a little rolling TV. And Rimmer shows up as well, but his fantasy has rebelled on him. He shows up in a family car with Magruder and a bunch of kids arguing. Apparently, he got married and had 7 kids. Just right now. He's desperate for help. He starts getting worse. Like, he starts now looking like a drunk. He's drinking, falling apart. He's now reverting back to being a hologram. And then all of a sudden, the man shows up from outbound revenue saying he has a tax bill for $18,000. He's there for immediate payment or to break his hands and broke his thumbs or whatever. Lister tries to help him with them, but his money's gone because Rimmer has now fantasized all their money away. His mind has poisoned the game. He's basically dragging them into hell with him. He imagines a tarantula in his pants. He can't stop. They end up buried in the sand with up to their neck with like killer ants coming to get them. And they seem to sort of pop out of the game, but they haven't actually yet, because then the man with looking for the payment comes out of the the locker after they've just realized that supposedly Lister, remember, did pass the navigation exam. He thinks it is going his way, and immediately is met by the guy coming to break his hands, holds down his hand, takes out a hammer, cut away for the episode. So oh my gosh, I forgot this episode right now. I think this one I would definitely say is, for series 2, we're off to a much better start than Crichton. Crichton was fun in its own little way, but this to me is way more back in stride with the way things are. We once again are continuing the fact that Magruder is basically the only woman that Rimmer's ever slept with. If we haven't figured that out yet, that is it. He's like talking about 2 times in one life. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Next time, we'll be looking at Thanks for the Memory, where we will see another discussion of Magruder once again. That one is fun to come. But in the meantime, please like, share, subscribe, comment. Please feel free to hop in here and offer some feedback on things. Also, if you're interested in more things from the Not Funny Guys, besides our YouTube channel here, you can find us over on our main podcast, Off the Reels, where you should be able to find our latest episode where we just talked about the Fantastic Four, the one that just came out. So if you haven't seen it, please be aware that is a spoiler. Just keep that in mind. We have that out now. We'll be looking at the Swamp Thing movie next week. Meanwhile, we have our Thinking About Thinking with me and our Not Funny gal, Dr. Kristen, where we talk about stuff, academics, education, fun little things that come to mind. We'll have those episodes tend to come out on Thursday. We also have the Wrestling with the Horror of It All. I don't know when those episodes go. That's where Casey and Eric talk about wrestling and horror films, which I think they're planning to go to Fright Night this year. I will not be with them because it's during the exact same weekend as my wife's birthday, and I like my wife. Yes, I'm a green flag type guy here. So all that is available to you. You can also check us out over on TikTok, and all other things you can find in the description below. So please come back and join us next time. And until then, don't be a smeghead. Keep it not funny.